What's up? My name's Glueboy, welcome back to the channel, and this is going to be a really fun one. This is a character that's pretty popular, pretty renowned, especially for anyone who's read the Horus Heresy, and especially for anybody like me who enjoys the Night Lords. Today we're talking about Sevatar, genuinely one of the fucking coolest 40k characters, or well, Horus Heresy characters, because he didn't make it to 40k, sadly. But a lot of words can be used to describe Sevatar. Psychopath, because he's a Night Lord. Terrifying. And the main key one that's pretty fucking, like, accurate. One of the most deadly characters at their peak during the Heresy. Like, on par with Abaddon, with, like, Sigismund, Eidolon, like a lot of prominent guys, he was right next to him, power-wise. But anyways, let's just get into him. So, Sevatar wasn't actually born with that name. His name was Yago Sevatarian, and during his stint as a Space Marine, he would pull, like, a typical 40k thing, like the Necron tier, and just drop that final syllable, just for funsies. But we don't know a whole lot about Sevatar's, like, past, but he really quickly rose up the ranks to first captain of the Night Lords, and got so far as to being renowned for literally one of the handful, single-digit people that Konrad Curze liked in the Night Lord Legion. That's fucking ridiculous. Sevatar served as like his right-hand man, his advisor. I think their relationship was pretty interesting, because Sevatar had this very calming presence for Konrad. He would actually help him get through a lot of his very violent vision fits, as they were, and they shared some rapport. But there's actually a thing I want to mention here, because I don't see a lot of people like point this out. Read the Konrad Curze Primarch book, by the way. You get a really good idea of his character. One of the main things that holds their relationship back and holds Sevatar back is he is an absolutely massive, like, chainsword side stick up his ass. He is overly serious and very to the point. And that's a problem, because there are some moments that you can tell where Curze is trying to, like, connect with him, and it falls flat. Like, there's a moment, a really cool moment, that also encapsulates this. Corvus Corax found Konrad Curze and some of his boys surrounded by a bunch of dead Night Lords that Curze made dead because they were psychopaths. It was when the Night Lord Legion was kind of dropping off in quality, and there was a very tense interaction as these two Primarchs were, at a moment's notice, going to rip each other apart. It was going to be a bloodbath. Sevatar was actually able to walk Curze back, like, all right, let's take this slow. This is a pretty fucking bad situation. We don't want to do this. Let's keep a level head here. He worked through it. And in this moment, in like this scene, Konrad Curze makes a joke to Sevatar. He cracks wise. Sevatar does not react. Man has no sense of humor. And like there's a bit where Curze is like, his face falls of like that uncomfortableness of you make a joke, you're trying to be buddy-buddy, and you get nothing. I didn't think I'd feel worse for Curze. That sounds like a fucking nightmare, to have one guy that you can view as a friend, and even he still is like this weird robot. However, I will say a lot of that personality in their relationship isn't just because Sevatar is like a prick and humorless. It's also because he is immensely loyal to his Primarch. Konrad Curze kind of seems like he wants more of a friendly relationship. For Sevatar, that is your fucking boss. I listen to my boss. And he agrees with Curze on a lot of his methods. He goes right along for literally all of it. Not purely because of like moral reasons or he's convinced in an argument. It's more like, no, I'm directly loyal to my Primarch. I do what he says because that's what I should be doing. In fact, Sevatar was the guy who shut down a lot of the complaints for when Curze decided to destroy Nostromo. Sevatar is like, you want to destroy Nostromo? Let's fucking do it. People were very unhappy. They even rose up and started fighting back. Sevatar, with his Atramentar, would teleport into ships where like they were revolting as like, no, I'm not going to press the fire button, and killed them, and did it himself. In fact, there's another prominent Space Marine character he has this argument with, calling him a weak pussy because he won't follow through with the Primarch's orders. He's that kind of guy. Loyalty to its fucking bitter end. And as well, he's a fucking badass. He is so cool. Like I mentioned, he's immensely deadly. He's the leader of the Atrumentar, which are fucking dope. They are essentially their version of Terminators, like their special version, which you can tell are cool because they use lightning claws. Noted as being one of the coolest weapons in 40k, because what's more Night Lord than ripping people apart with claws, you know, that's their vibe. And then as well, I have to talk about his duel with Sigismund. You know, the Sigismund. This is a pretty cool fucking scene, and I think it encapsulates really well the type of guy Sevatar is. So they had a pretty heated discussion that went to blows. Sigismund threw a punch. He got so angry during this fight, and they decided, all right, we're just gonna duel it out, I guess. Weapons only, like, we fight till one yields. And they fought. It was a bitter fight, a full-on duel. But at the end of it, Sevatar headbutt Sigismund, just right in the face, which immediately disqualified him, because that wasn't a weapon, you used your body. Which Sevatar would argue, there's no honor in combat. I'm not an honorable warrior. I am getting the job done. No one's gonna be doing these rules during engagements, so why are we doing this here? I win. This puts me in a rough spot. On one hand, I am a Night Lord simp. I love the Night Lords. I love Sevatar. He's fucking right. There is no honor in combat. On the other hand, Imperial Fists, like my one true love for the Space Marines. However, I think I can at least meld this a little differently and support Sevatar's side a little more, because Sigismund is technically not an Imperial Fist. He's a Black Templar, which, as we all know, are just the worst version of Imperial Fists. For the Black Templar fanboys in the audience, that's a joke. I'm kidding. I don't care enough about the Black Templars to dig on him. And that fact of him believing he won because there's no honor in combat is a pretty prominent part of his character, because the main thing with Sevatar, on the one hand, yeah, he's a fucking psychopath. He's from Nostromo, full-bred Nostroman, horrible fucking person. But on the other hand, he goes really in line with the actual intended warfare of Curze, which is the ends justify the means. I am taking over these planets, forcing compliance with very little fighting. No one's really dying, we're just terrifying them and maybe brutally murdering 100 to pacify millions. That's his idea. He thinks it's a waste of time to actually engage. He really didn't like the idea of fighting Space Marines. Because what's the fucking point? There's a dope quote that I'm gonna give to you right now that fully encapsulates this. It's one of his most popular fucking quotes.
Because the wolves kill cleanly, and we do not. They also kill quickly, and we have never done that either. They fight, they win, and they stalk back to their ships with their tails held high. If they were ever ordered to destroy another legion, they would do it by hurling warrior against warrior, seeking to grind their enemies down with the admirable delusions of the noble savage. If we were ever ordered to assault another legion, we would virus bomb their recruitment worlds, slaughter their serfs and slaves, poison their gene seed repositories, and spend the next dozen decades watching them die slow, humiliating deaths. Night after night, raid after raid, we'd overwhelm stragglers from their fleets and bleach their skulls to hang from our armor, until none remained. But that isn't the quick execution the Emperor needs, is it? The wolves go for the throat, we go for the eyes, then the tongue, then the hands, then the feet. Then we skin the crippled remains and offer it up as an example to any still bearing witness. The wolves were warriors before they became soldiers. We were murderers, first, last, and always.
Yeah, that sums him up. He is full on, ends justify the means, take people out, no reason for direct warfare. Actual Night Lord, like the intended thing. It is a shame the Night Lords fell so far and aren't that anymore, but also they've always were fucking horrible. So, and then other than that, Sevatar has, a lot of stories in 40k. He appears in things or gets involved in his own little Night Lord centered stuff, but he actually doesn't do a lot in there. The parts he is in are fucking sick though. Mainly one of the major things he did was the Thramas Crusade, which was the direct engagement around Istvan III that was the Night Lords attacking the Dark Angels. This massive fucking battle, which I'm not going to sit here in detail because that's a lot, and I haven't got to that part in the Horus Heresy series yet, so I'm not going to dig through a big bullet list of all the events. It doesn't matter that much for Sevatar's story. In the actual crusade, Curze was taken out of commission. He was like in a coma, fucked up. Sevatar would actually take up command. He split the Night Lords up, he led them in different pockets of like companies, he did his damnedest. Man was an efficient leader. Also, fun little fact, Sevatar is psychically potent. He's been hiding this the entire part and just really keeping it down. But in this instance, he let it rip. He actually would try to psychically heal Curze. Didn't fully work, he got, hurt in the process. And a lot of other shit happened. Curze woke up, not all the Night Lords got out of there, Atramentar got really murdered, and Sevatar and a bunch of the other Night Lords got imprisoned on the Dark Angel flagship, which he would promptly escape from, because of course he would. But in the process, real respect for this, he went out of his way for an astropath who was like kind of helping him the whole time, and murdered a guy who was directly abusing her. She was a child, by the way. He murdered a child abuser because he had like visions of what he was doing, full on directly saying, "I am justice, I have come for you." So respect that mid-prison break, you'll kill a child abuser. Like, I fucking respect that. It is hard how many moments a Night Lord does something cool where then I have to be like, good job, horrific fucking psychopath. I'm so happy for you. And other than that, two little fun facts we'll give out that I think are really interesting, but kind of hard to fit in. Firstly, the whole thing with his red gauntlets. That is a actual Nostraman tradition. It was a thing to mark your wrist with like red paint or like red tattoo to indicate that you've done something bad against the gang you were in. It is a marker for traitors and fools, as it's often said with Nostraman. And he was actually asked, like, why do you have those red gauntlets? That means you're like marked for execution by Curze. Like, what's the point of that? Are you a traitor or a fool? He said both. We don't actually know what he did. Like, I don't think it's ever been detailed. If it has, I can't find it. So, But on the other hand, Curze hasn't given really any inclination he's planning to kill Sevatar. Like, maybe he was going to do it directly at the end of like the Heresy, like right at the end. But also, Curze can see the future. And back at that like Corvus-Corax interaction, when that whole thing ended, Corvus and his boys left, Curze said something pretty interesting. He said, now is not the time for brother to fight brother. Specifically, like, noting, this isn't the time, it'll happen later. Sevatar asked him about this, like, what the fuck does that mean, dog? And Curze would detail, I've seen a lot of things in the future. In fact, one of the things, if I tell you about this, I know how you die. Do you want to know how you will fall? And Sevatar said no. He didn't want to. Like, I'm good. I'll fall when I fall, die when I die. So it doesn't sound like Curze had the idea to murder him. Because even then, like, Sevatar is dead. He's not here anymore. He's not in 40k. Curze didn't do it. Because Curze didn't even know that Sevatar died. When he was stuck in, like, out in space in, like, stasis, when he got back to the Night Lord's HQ, he asked, like, where's Sevatar? And he said, oh, sir, he's been dead for a while. Like, he forgot. Also, Talos Valkorion said, no, Sevatar's straight up dead. That man's not alive anymore. Some people still believe it, but I trust Talos. He is like the last Night Lord to have a proper head on his shoulders. And then lastly, just a fun little tidbit, Sevatar was the first guy to ever utter the phrase, death to the false emperor. Like the key war cry for Chaos Marines. And extra funny bit, because I don't see this mentioned a lot, this sentence was said right after Lorgar gave a really inspiring speech to all the Chaos Forces at the beginning of the Heresy. Gave this big, long speech. Everyone was so inspired. Sevatar, death to the false emperor, immediately one-ups Lorgar with a phrase everybody says. No one references Lorgar's speech. Everyone references the war cry. Lorgar is so deserving of that. I don't think you understand how happy I was to find that tidbit. Fuck Lorgar. But anyways, that's kind of it. It's a pretty simple character. Go read the stuff with Sevatar in it. Go read the Konrad Curze Primarch book. Go read The Long Dark, which is the one where he breaks out of the Dark Angel's prison and murders a child abuser. Go read the stories he's in. He is so fucking cool, and he has constant moments of the sickest line you've ever heard, the dopest moments of like jumping onto the cockpits of ships and like punching through the glass, ripping the pilot out, stuff like that. He's a badass. Please read his stuff. But yeah, that's gonna be it. If you like this, like, comment, subscribe, do that stuff. Join my membership, and see ya. Cut.